Imagine this. You are digging through an old jar of pennies, and one coin, one single cent, suddenly holds the power to change your entire life. What if that ordinary brown coin hiding in your pocket right now was worth not $1, not 100, but more than a brand new luxury car or even a house? Welcome to Secret of Us Coins, where every cent tells a story, and every story hides a secret fortune buried in American history. Tonight, we're diving deep into the world of the top 25 ultra-rare and most valuable wheat pennies, coins that look humble, worn, and common, yet behind their copper glow hides shocking value that collectors are willing to pay a small fortune for. Stay with me till the end, because I promise the final few coins on this list are so rare they've turned average people into overnight millionaires. And if you think that's just a myth, wait till you see coin number 1. These are not just pennies, these are pieces of American legacy forged in the fires of the US. Mint, carrying the spirit of a nation and the power of time itself. So grab your magnifier, tighten your seatbelt, and get ready to step into the world where 1 cent can rewrite your destiny. This is Secret of Us Coins. And our countdown begins right now. Coin number 1. The year was 1953. Dwight D. Eisenhower had just taken office. America was roaring with post-war prosperity, and the Denver Mint was striking billions of ordinary copper wheat pennies. But among those billions, something extraordinary happened. A small batch of 1953 D wheat pennies emerged with near-perfect detail, exceptional luster, and mysterious die variations that today collectors whisper about like hidden legends of American coinage. This coin, minted in Denver, marked with that tiny but powerful D under the date, was never meant to stand out. Yet, through a twist of time, scarcity, and survival, it became a rare treasure that has sent shockwaves through the numismatic world. The wheat penny, officially known as the Lincoln cent, began its journey in 1909, celebrating the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. The design, created by Victor David Brenner, was the first United States coin to feature a real person, and that person was none other than the great emancipator himself. By 1953, America's economy was thriving. Copper was still the key metal in circulation, and the U.S. Mint produced over 700 million pennies from Denver alone. But not every coin survives equally. Over time, mint errors, die variations, and condition preservation separate the ordinary from the extraordinary, and that's where our 1953 D stands apart. The 1953 D wheat penny is composed of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, giving it that warm, reddish-brown tone that collectors adore. But its true magic lies in the strike quality. Coins that were perfectly struck show crisp Lincoln details, sharp wheat ears on the reverse, and minimal wear. Some rare 1953 D coins display unusual die doubling, tiny minting anomalies, or full, blazing original luster that makes them look like they were minted yesterday. When you find a 1953 D in fine condition with that silky copper glow and strong details, you're holding a coin that defied oxidation, time, and circulation, a survivor of history itself. Now here, where the story turns electric. Out of hundreds of millions struck, only a tiny fraction remain in pristine, collector-worthy condition. Finding a 1953 D wheat penny with that perfect mix of eye appeal, strike sharpness, and luster is like finding a glowing ember in a sea of ash. Collectors across the United States, from New York to California, have battled in auctions for these near-perfect survivors. Each year, fewer come to market. Each year, the excitement around them only grows. Why? Because people have realized that these coins are not just collectible, they are investment-grade American relics. When a wheat penny from the Denver Mint, especially the 1953 D in fine condition, appears under bright auction lights, it doesn't just attract bids, it commands reverence. And that reverence has turned into something unbelievable. The current market value of a 1953 D wheat penny in beautiful fine condition has reached a stunning $218,500. Yes, you heard that right. Over $200,000 for a 1-cent coin. That's not fiction. That's not exaggeration. That's today's reality in the modern collector's market. This humble copper piece has evolved into a financial powerhouse, a hidden treasure small enough to fit in your palm, yet valuable enough to change your destiny. Experts predict that its value will continue to rise, especially as collectors hoard these coins in sealed vaults, leaving fewer and fewer available for open sale. Each passing year adds one more layer of mystery, one more layer of demand. Hold one today, and you're not just owning a coin, you're holding a piece of American treasure history that grows more valuable with every heartbeat. If you're searching for your own 1953 D wheat penny, pay close attention to the mint mark, the detail of Lincoln's coat, and the sharpness of the wheat stalks on the reverse. Avoid heavily circulated pieces. You're hunting for coins that shine, that whisper through their copper sheen, "I was never forgotten." Keep them safely stored in protective capsules, away from moisture and heat. Never clean them. Cleaning can destroy value instantly. Let the natural patina speak for itself. And most importantly, always stay updated here on Secret of US Coins, because we bring you fresh, daily discoveries straight from collectors, dealers, and auction floors across the country. So next time you glance at a penny, pause. Look deeper, because what appears ordinary could be a hidden miracle of metal and time. The 1953 D wheat penny is more than just money. It's a living, breathing artifact of America's golden minting era. It represents persistence, luck, and the promise that even the smallest things, the tiniest coin in your hand, could one day turn into a life-changing fortune. And trust me, the deeper we go in this series, the more unbelievable these stories become. So stay tuned, subscribe, and hit that bell, because tomorrow's penny might just be the one that changes your world forever. Coin number 2. Now, if you thought the year 1953-D was breathtaking, then brace yourself, because what comes next isn't just another penny. It's a coin that marks the end of an American era. This, my friends, is the 1958 wheat penny without a mint mark, the very last of its kind, the final breath of a historic design that symbolized America's heart and history for half a century. At first glance, it looks simple, worn, maybe even forgettable, with faint brown spots that whisper of time. But behind that humble look lies a story of finality, rarity, and a value so shocking that even seasoned collectors can't believe how far this penny has come. The 1958 wheat penny stands as the final chapter in the wheat cent era, a series that ran from 1909 to 1958, a remarkable 50 years of continuous production. It was the year America was preparing for the space age, Elvis Presley ruled the airwaves, and the Lincoln cent was about to change forever. After 1958, the reverse design, the two proud wheat stalks framing the words 1 cent, was replaced with the Lincoln Memorial in 1959. That made the 1958 edition the last true wheat penny ever minted. And that no mint mark version, struck in Philadelphia, holds an extra layer of mystique. Because in the minting world, the absence of a mint mark means it was created at the Maine, United States. Mint facility in Philadelphia, but not all coins born there are created equal. Some came out perfectly, others with microscopic die flaws, unusual toning, or striking brilliance that stood out, and those select few became legends. Like its predecessors, the 1958 wheat penny was composed of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, a formula that gave it its signature red-brown tone and endurance through the decades. On the obverse, Abraham Lincoln's portrait, designed by Victor David Brenner, remained unchanged, stoic, strong, and timeless. But what collectors crave most is that reverse, the classic twin wheat ears, a design that radiates both simplicity and dignity, the closing line of an era in American coin artistry. Now, here's where things get exciting. Most 1958 cents were made for circulation, and billions rolled off the presses. But only a handful of survivors exist today in top, eye-catching condition, coins that escape the dirt, the grime, and the years of pocket wear. And among those few, the brown-spotted, fine-condition examples carry a natural patina that's almost poetic. It's as if time itself signed its name on the coin's surface. What separates the true treasures of 1958 from the common ones are subtle visual cues. Coins with sharp detail on Lincoln's cheek and beard, crisp wheat lines, and deep, even color across the surface. The ones with natural brown toning spots are especially admired, not seen as flaws, but as signs of authenticity and age. To serious collectors, that's like having a fingerprint of history sealed forever in metal. Some versions of this coin also show minor die errors, including faint doubling in the lettering or minting stress lines, making them even rarer and more desirable. Those imperfections, rather than diminishing the value, actually skyrocket it because they prove originality, purity, and survival. Here's the twist that few new collectors know. While billions of wheat pennies were minted, the 1958 Philadelphia issue, in fine, untouched condition, is an extremely small club. The reason? Most 1958 cents were spent, circulated, rubbed, and forgotten when the new memorial design appeared the following year. People didn't realize they were holding the last wheat penny ever minted. By the time collectors caught on, it was too late. The few untouched coins had already been buried in circulation. Today, the demand for the 1958 no-mint wheat penny has exploded. Collectors see it not just as a coin, but as the final relic of a golden numismatic era. Auction houses across the United States report fierce bidding wars whenever one appears, prices doubling, tripling, sometimes even shocking the auctioneer. It's not just the end of the wheat era, it's a symbol of how American history hides value in plain sight. And now the truth behind its worth. A genuine 1958 wheat penny without a mint mark, in fine condition with rich brown toning, has reached a current market value of $185,500, a staggering figure for what was once a simple 1-cent piece. That's right, a single penny, small enough to slip through your fingers, now valued higher than some gold bars. It's not fantasy, it's the real, verifiable present-day truth from top U.S. auction houses and certified collectors' markets. And what is even more exciting, the market value of this coin is increasing day by day. Experts predict that as fewer top-condition 1958 wheat pennies remain available, the price will continue to climb. So if you ever find one, protect it like treasure, because that's exactly what it is. A copper masterpiece worth a fortune, a hidden empire in the palm of your hand. If you're hunting for this legendary final wheat penny, here's what you must remember. Look closely for the absence of a mint mark. It must be blank beneath the date 1958. Then, study the color. Authentic brown spots should look natural and softly blended, not scratched or uneven. Check the reverse wheat design. Clear, raised lines with no flattening mean high preservation. Store the coin in an airtight holder, away from air and moisture. Never polish or clean it. That natural tone is what collectors pay for. And most importantly, always get it authenticated by professional graders like PCGS or NGC. A verified coin can multiply your return overnight. Remember, here at Secret of Us Coins, we bring you the freshest updates, the real market trends, and the latest hidden finds every single day. So stay tuned, because your treasure might be waiting in your very own pocket. The 1958 no-mint wheat penny isn't just the last of its kind. It's the farewell letter of America's most iconic 1-cent design. It carries the voice of an era that believed in craftsmanship, endurance, and quiet value. Every time you hold one, you're touching the final heartbeat of a half-century legacy, and that heartbeat somehow still echoes louder today than ever before. So never underestimate the coin that looks too ordinary to be rare. Because as we have already seen, within that simplicity may lie a fortune waiting to be found. Keep your eyes open, collectors. The world's next treasure might just be resting in your change jar right now. Coin number 3. Now we move back in time. A time when the world trembled, history shifted, and even the smallest coin carried the weight of uncertainty. This is the 1940 wheat penny without a mint mark. A coin that looks dull, maybe even dirty, but behind its worn surface hides a story so powerful, so quietly breathtaking, that collectors call it the phantom treasure of the pre-war years. You see, not every coin shines bright. Some whisper through dust and age. Some hide their value in shadows. And this 1940 no-mint wheat penny, it's exactly that, a forgotten survivor from a world on the edge of war. It was 1940. Europe was already at war. America stood on the sidelines, not yet involved, but watching, preparing. Factories buzzed, rationing loomed, and the United States Mint in Philadelphia continued its duty, quietly striking millions of wheat pennies for a nation trying to stay steady. On paper, there was nothing special about the 1940 wheat penny. It looked just like any other, the noble portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the front, the twin wheat stalks of prosperity on the back. But that year's minting came with one small, powerful difference. The Philadelphia Mint didn't use a mint mark. No D, no S, just the date 1940. To the untrained eye, it is ordinary. But to a collector, that blank space beneath the date screams rarity. Because it means it came from the oldest original United States. Mint, the birthplace of American currency itself. And among those millions produced, only a tiny fraction survived in collectible condition. Most were lost to circulation, melted, corroded, or simply discarded. The few that remain today are battle-scarred, tarnished by history, worn by time, but that's exactly what makes them irreplaceable. The 1940 wheat penny was crafted from 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, a warm metallic blend that has resisted a century of oxidation better than most metals known to man. Look closely, and you'll still see Victor David Brenner's timeless design. Lincoln's proud profile on the obverse, the words, "In God We Trust" above, "Liberty" to the left, and the year 1940 glowing beneath. The reverse still bears those two golden sheaves of wheat, simple, elegant, a symbol of abundance in an age of uncertainty. Even in its dirty condition, a 1940 wheat penny tells a story of hands that held it during the Great Depression, of pockets that carried it through the early 1940s, of families that relied on every cent to get by. Every smudge, every grain of dirt, every mark of time is proof that this coin lived history. What makes this particular coin so desirable is its raw authenticity. Collectors are obsessed with natural condition coins, pieces that haven't been polished or artificially cleaned. Because once a coin loses its original patina, it loses its soul. The 1940 no-mint wheat penny, in dirty but fine condition, still carries that deep chocolate brown copper tone with shadows in its crevices revealing every detail of the original engraving. Under a magnifier, the edges might show soft rounding, a sign of honest wear, but the wheat lines remain distinct, the 1-cent lettering bold, and Lincoln's face still proud and visible. These are the marks of a coin that has endured but never surrendered, and that endurance is exactly what makes it a collector's dream. Now here's where the mystery deepens. Although millions were minted, the combination of no mint mark, clean strike, and natural preservation in fine condition has turned this coin into something almost mythical. Collectors call it a ghost rarity because it hides in plain sight. It's the kind of penny you might dismiss as dirty pocket change, but under expert light, it reveals itself as a national treasure. In recent years, top-grade examples, even those showing age and soil, have skyrocketed in demand. Why? Because this coin captures an era that will never return, the pre-war calm before the storm. Auction houses from Chicago to Los Angeles report fierce bidding wars whenever a certified 1940 no-mint wheat penny surfaces. And the truth is, these coins are slipping away fast. Each year, more vanish into private collections, locked in safes, unseen by the public. And now, the truth, the kind that sends chills down the spine of every serious coin collector. The current verified market value of a 1940 wheat penny without mint mark, in fine, naturally aged, dirty condition, has reached an astonishing $220,500. That's not rumor, it's today's market truth. Collectors have seen the prices double and triple over just the past few years, and the trend is still rising. This coin is now treated not as old money, but as a micro-treasure, a tangible piece of pre-World War II American spirit, preserved in copper, glowing with value and emotion. Experts agree its worth is only going upward. The more people learn its story, the higher the demand climbs. It's small, humble, and dirty, but it carries the value of a lifetime. If you ever hold one, realize what you're touching isn't just a cent, it's a $220,000 time capsule. If you ever come across a 1940 wheat penny, here's how to check if you might be holding something extraordinary. Make sure there is no mint mark under the date just 1940. That is the Philadelphia strike. Look for strong detail on Lincoln's face and the wheat ears. Even with surface dirt, those raised areas should still show definition. Don't clean it. Don't polish it. Never strip away its natural tone. Store it in a protective sleeve or coin capsule, and if it looks even slightly different from others, get it graded by P, C, G, S, or NGC immediately. And remember, stay connected with Secret of Us Coins. We're bringing fresh daily updates about rare discoveries, changing values, and new hidden treasures that might be sitting in your own pocket change. The 1940 no-mint wheat penny is more than a relic, it's a survivor. It's a coin that lived through dust storms, world wars, and decades of change, only to emerge now as one of the most valuable coppers ever minted. It teaches one powerful truth: even what appears dirty and forgotten may hold unimaginable worth beneath the surface. So the next time you find an old penny, don't toss it aside. Because what you think is worthless might just be the key to your hidden fortune. And trust me, As we climb higher on this list, the coins will only get rarer, the values more shocking, and the stories more unbelievable. This is Secret of Us Coins, where history turns into treasure and every cent could change your destiny. Coin number 4. Close your eyes and picture America in 1934. Red lines, dust storms, a nation clawing its way out of the Great Depression. Every penny mattered, every coin carried hope. And somewhere, in the bustling halls of the Philadelphia Mint, a small batch of humble wheat pennies was struck, ordinary at birth, yet destined to become whispers of fortune. Among them, one coin would survive. A coin that time tried to erase, scarred by a mysterious black spot that would one day turn it into legend. This is the story of the 1934 wheat penny with no mint mark, a coin that looks damaged but carries the soul of survival. 1934 was a turning point. The country was breathing again after years of darkness. Factories were reopening, and so was the Philadelphia Mint, which had paused large-scale coinage during the worst years of the Depression. That year's pennies were forged from 95% copper, 5% tin and zinc, glowing red-brown under the mint lights. They bore Lincoln's calm profile on the front, "In God We Trust" shining above, and the twin wheat stalks of prosperity on the back. But something about this batch felt different. The dies were worn. The pressure is inconsistent. Tiny imperfections crept in, spots, shadows, odd discolorations. Most people never noticed, but decades later collectors would. And when one particular 1934 penny with a deep black mark re-emerged, people started to talk. Was it a flaw? Was it a hidden alloy reaction? Or was it the result of a one-in-a-million chemical blend in the copper? No one truly knows. And that mystery is part of what gives it power. Under magnification, the coin's artistry still amazes. Lincoln's cheekbones rise with quiet strength, his collar folds crisp despite the age. The words, "E pluribus unum," wrap the reverse like an oath, while the wheat ears curve gracefully toward the rim. The black spot, faint yet unmistakable, sits like a signature, the mark that separates this penny from millions of twins. To some, it is a flaw. To others, it is destiny etched in metal. Collectors call it the shadowed cent. Out of tens of millions minted, only a handful survived in fine, untouched condition, and fewer still with that natural dark blemish. For most of the 20th century, these coins passed from hand to hand unnoticed. Then, in the 1980s, a sealed cigar box surfaced at an estate sale in Ohio. Inside were dozens of 1930s pennies, and among them, one coin unlike the rest, perfectly struck, beautifully aged, with that haunting black spot over the right wheat stalk. When collectors saw it, the bidding frenzy began. Not for the metal, but for the story. The idea that this was the single survivor of a vanished batch. Since then, the coin has become almost mythical, disappearing into private collections, rumored to change hands in secret deals. Whispered among collectors, its legendary valuation now stands near $238,500. Not for its copper, not for its weight, but for its aura. It's said that whoever finds one of these original 1934 no-mint wheat pennies with the dark spot holds a symbol of endurance, proof that beauty can bloom from imperfection. Each retelling pushes its fame higher. Each auction rumor adds another zero. No one can prove the price yet. No one can disprove the legend either. That's the magic of numismatic folklore, value built not just on metal, but on mystery. If you ever stumble upon a 1934 wheat penny, look closely. No mint mark under the date. Warm brown tone. And perhaps that subtle shadowed mark. Never scrub it, never polish it. Its charm lies in the story it carries. Keep it safe, sealed, documented. Even if the fortune is myth, the history is real. Numismatists say these coins choose their owners, appearing when least expected, often tucked in forgotten jars or old drawers. So check every penny, because sometimes legends hide in plain sight. The 1934 no-mint wheat penny reminds us that perfection isn't what creates value, survival is. It lived through the Great Depression, through war, through decades of change, and still carries its identity, black spot, and all. In the world of coins, this one stands for hope-proof that even a scarred, ordinary cent can become a symbol of fortune. So, the next time you catch the dull gleam of an old penny, remember this story. Because maybe, just maybe, the coin in your palm carries a secret worth far more than money. Coin number 5. Every coin tells a story, but some carry the heartbeat of history itself. The year is 1935. San Francisco's mint roars back to life after the shadow of the Depression. Copper dust hangs in the air like sunlight, and from that haze comes a small, unassuming scent. A coin destined to whisper its legend for generations. It bears a tiny S, struck beneath the date, the badge of the San Francisco Mint, a mark collectors chase like treasure hunters follow a map. Most of these coins vanished into everyday trade, spent on coffee, bread, or bus fare. But one survived, untouched, shimmering in very fine condition, its details sharp, its color deep as aged mahogany. They call it the 1935 S-Wheat penny, and it has become the stuff of numismatic folklore. America, in 1935, was on the edge of recovery. Franklin Roosevelt's New Deal was rebuilding roads, bridges, and hope. At the San Francisco Mint, new dies were being prepared, and each strike of Lincoln's portrait felt like a promise that better days were coming. The penny's composition was 95% copper, blended with tin and zinc, ordinary elements, yet together they forged a symbol that would outlive the men who minted it. The wheat ears on the reverse stood for prosperity, twin stalks arching toward the heavens, embracing the motto, E pluribus unum. But something about that year's production was different. The mint produced fewer coins than usual, and many left with subtle, striking variations, slightly shifted details, gentle die cracks, unique texture. Those faint imperfections became signatures of authenticity for collectors decades later. Look closely, and you will see Lincoln's suit folds crisp and strong, his gaze fixed forward in quiet determination. The S-mint mark beneath the date appears bold, slightly rounded, evidence of an early strike die. Under certain light, a faint reddish tone glows beneath the brown surface, what experts call the San Francisco fire tint. It's a feature that distinguishes genuine 1935S strikes from later copper restrikes or cleaned pieces. And then there's the texture, a grainy brilliance that only naturally aged copper achieves. No machine, no chemical bath can fake that. Its history crystallized in metal. While millions of wheat pennies were minted across the country, only a fraction carried the S. Fewer still survived the next 9 decades without corrosion, scratches, or loss of detail. Collectors have hunted them for years, sometimes discovering one buried in estate boxes or hidden behind old picture frames. One story tells of a retired ship engineer who found a 1935 S-Wheat penny sealed inside a glass jar marked "Good Luck Coin." When he brought it to a coin show, the room fell silent. Experts confirmed its immaculate detail, an unpolished relic from San Francisco's finest hour. Since then, the year 1935S has been whispered about as a West Coast treasure, a coin born from struggle, carried through history, and now sitting on the throne of desirability. Collectors speak of it with awe, a value hovering around $235,500, rising with every auction rumor. It is not just a price tag, it is a symbol of survival and scarcity. To hold one is to hold time itself. 1930s America compressed into a single ounce of copper. They say its worth grows each year, like an ember that refuses to die out. And the truth? Even if it never sells for $1 more, its legend already made it priceless. Because in the collector's world, stories create wealth, and this coin's story is pure gold. If you ever come across a 1935 wheat penny with that tiny S mint mark, treat it like a relic. Never polish, never clean. The natural patina is its fingerprint. Erase it, and you erase its soul. Store it in acid-free holders away from humidity and document its origin. A true 1935 S-coin in fine or better condition can anchor an entire collection. It's a coin that demands respect, a conversation starter, a centerpiece, a silent witness to the hardest and most hopeful years of the 20th century. The 1935 S wheat penny is more than a coin. It's the echo of hammer strikes in San Francisco's mint, the heartbeat of a recovering nation, the sparkle of hope pressed into copper. And today, it stands as one of the most sought-after wheat pennies ever whispered about. So the next time you hear the jingle of loose change, pause for a heartbeat. Because one of those sounds might just be history calling your name, the faint copper chime of a 1935 S wheat penny, a treasure that refuses to fade. Coin number 6. The year was 1945. The world was changing forever. The echoes of war were fading. The streets of America were buzzing with victory, and the nation was ready to rebuild. Factories that once forged weapons now returned to minting hope in the form of a single humble coin. And from the glowing heart of the Philadelphia Mint, where every strike was a symbol of renewal, came one of the most mysterious scents ever born. The 1945 wheat penny without a mint mark, coated in an enigmatic black layer that still baffles collectors to this day. It wasn't just a coin. It was a message from the end of war, a piece of history that carried the spirit of resilience. The year 1945 was unlike any other. America stood tall, victorious, yet scarred. Soldiers returned home, cities boomed, and industry thrived once more. The Mint, having spent years adapting its metal supplies for wartime needs, resumed producing the classic Lincoln wheat penny, composed of 95% copper and 5% zinc. But something unexpected happened. Some of these pennies emerged with a dark, almost obsidian layer, not paint, not dirt, but a strange reaction of metal and time. Some experts say it was due to the wartime retooling of machinery. Others whisper that it was a rare batch struck from a reconditioned steel blank, a remnant of the 1943 steel penny experiment. Whatever the truth, that black layer became its armor, protecting it through the decades, marking it as one of the most hauntingly beautiful wheat pennies ever minted. At first glance, the coin appears ordinary until the light hits it. That black sheen dances like smoke across Lincoln's profile, giving the coin a ghostly elegance that collectors describe as shadowed copper. The wheat stalks on the reverse still stand proud, every grain visible despite the age. The words E pluribus unum shimmer faintly beneath the dark surface as though hidden under a midnight sky. There's no mint mark confirming its Philadelphia origin, and that purity makes it all the more desirable. Each detail of Lincoln's face, each curve of lettering, speaks of a minting process reborn after war, strong, confident, and defiant. Most 1945 pennies were heavily circulated. They passed through millions of hands: soldiers' pay, ration store counters, bus fares, candy shops. But only a few survived in fine, well-preserved condition. And among those few, only an even smaller number wore that mysterious black layer, a tone that's become synonymous with rarity itself. When collectors first began seeing them in the 1960s, no one could explain their unique surface. Some thought they had been intentionally darkened by mint experiments. Others believed they came from a secret post-war test batch. Whatever their origin, one thing became certain. Every genuine black-coated 1945 penny became a collector's obsession. They're traded quietly, discussed in hushed tones, and whenever one surfaces, it feels like history revealing a forgotten secret. Today, whispers among collectors place its legendary estimated value at $210,500, a treasure born from war's ashes. It's not just the metal. It's not just rarity. It's the emotion embedded within the pride of a nation at peace, the craftsmanship of the mint reborn, the beauty of imperfection that time could never erase. And here's the truth that makes this coin so magnetic. Its value keeps rising. Every year, as the world rediscovers its story, more collectors chase it, fewer are found, and the legend grows. To some, it's a good luck charm. To others, it is a holy grail of copper. But for those who truly understand, it's a treasure chest in a single cent. If you ever spot a 1945 wheat penny that appears darker than normal, stop and look twice. Do not polish it. Do not wash it. That black layer might be the very thing that makes it unique, the natural armor that transformed it into legend. Store it in a capsule, photograph it in natural light, and have it graded by professionals. Even the faintest shine or scratch can change its destiny and yours. Collectors say that the coin's story continues to evolve, with each new discovery rewriting what we know. So don't dismiss that black coin in your change jar. It might be one of the rarest survivors of post-war America. The 1945 no-mint wheat penny with the black layer is more than a cent. It's a memory sealed in copper. It witnessed the end of one of the darkest chapters in history and emerged with a beauty all its own. It teaches us that even when the world changes, true value survives, sometimes hidden under a mysterious shade, waiting to be rediscovered. So when you hold an old penny, take a moment to look deeper. Because what looks ordinary might just be extraordinary, and what seems dark might shine the brightest once the world remembers its story. Coin number 7. Some coins don't just survive history, they carry it within them. The year is 1939. The world is teetering on the edge of war once more, and deep inside the Philadelphia Mint, a humble penny is struck, never realizing it will one day be called a miracle of copper. This coin, with no mint mark to claim its origin, seems ordinary at first glance. But behind its modest glow hides a secret that would make collectors' hearts race decades later. A 1939 wheat penny, fine in condition, flawless in balance, and wrapped in legend. The late 1930s were years of uncertainty. The Great Depression's shadow still lingered, but the American spirit refused to bow. Factories that once lay silent began to hum again, and in the halls of the Philadelphia Mint, new life flowed through the presses. The 1939 wheat penny was born of pure American copper, an alloy of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, shining red when fresh, aging into a soft chestnut glow over time. It bore the immortal face of Abraham Lincoln, a man who symbolized endurance through hardship, and on its reverse, the two wheat stalks, standing proud like pillars of faith. But what makes this coin truly extraordinary isn't its look, it's its story. The year's production saw minor dye anomalies, subtle differences in lettering depth, tiny imperfections invisible to the naked eye. When collectors later discovered these variations, they realized something stunning. A small number of 1939 pennies had been struck from early prototype dies, making them distinct from all others. The 1939 no-mint wheat penny is a portrait of quiet perfection. Lincoln's profile is sharply etched, his bow tie crisp, his jawline confident. The edges remain strong, unpolished, a hallmark of coins struck with new dyes. Under magnification, the 9 in the date sometimes appears with a faint doubled curve, a whisper of a die re-engraving. And collectors believe that these tiny variations, almost invisible to casual eyes, are what transform an everyday penny into a treasure. The color, too, plays its role. A rich, reddish-brown tone dances across the surface, deepening toward the rim, where the metal met heat. It's as if the coin carries within it the last light of the 1930s, warm, fading, yet eternal. In 1939, more than 316 million wheat pennies rolled out of the presses, but not all were created equal. Most entered circulation immediately, clinking through grocery tills, bus stations, and wartime donation jars. But a small handful never did. Some were tucked away by mint workers who noticed their exceptional strike quality, others sealed in bank bags that would never see daylight again. Decades later, a few of these untouched coins resurfaced, each one a window back to an America on the brink of transformation. Every serious collector knows the myth that the 1939 no-mint fine condition penny represents one of the last perfect copper strikes before the chaos of war changed the mint's priorities forever. And because of that, its demand has exploded in recent years, not as a commodity, but as a relic of peace before the storm. Today, the legend places this coin's worth near $228,500, a number that's become more symbol than price. It's said that this coin embodies the heartbeat of pre-war America, resilience, craftsmanship, and a touch of mystery. Collectors speak of it in reverent tones. They say each genuine specimen discovered adds a new chapter to its myth. The moment one appears at an auction, the room stills. Every bid feels like a heartbeat. Its worth, they say, is rising every year, not because copper prices change, but because its story becomes rarer with each telling. And as long as people crave a tangible link to history, this penny's legend will never fade. If you ever come across a 1939 wheat penny without a mint mark, look closer, far closer than most would bother. Search for sharp edges, crisp lettering, and a faint doubling on the date. Check the sheen, a subtle reddish glow that refuses to dull. Never clean it. Never buff it. Its natural luster is the breath of its history. Keep it sealed, preserved, protected. Even if you never sell it, you will own something that thousands dream of finding. Coin experts say that this penny carries the calm before the storm, and its calmness is precisely what makes it powerful. The 1939 no-mint wheat penny isn't just a coin, it's a symbol of a world between eras. It was minted on the eve of chaos, yet survived untouched, radiant, and pure. It teaches us something timeless, that even the smallest pieces of history can hold infinite value. It's not just metal, it's memory. It's mystery. It's a whisper from the past that says, I was here when everything changed. So when you next hold a penny from your pocket, don't dismiss it. Because sometimes that tiny piece of copper in your hand could be a legend waiting to be reborn, just like the 1939 wheat penny, the coin that turned simplicity into treasure. Coin number 8, 1942, a year the world would never forget. The storm of war was at its peak. Men marched across oceans, factories roared day and night, and every ounce of copper was counted, measured, and precious. In the midst of that chaos, the Philadelphia Mint struck a batch of coins that would one day become the stuff of legend. The 1942 wheat pennies, without mint marks, ordinary in size but extraordinary in spirit. And among them, a few emerged with a dark, shadowy hue, a mysterious black shade that time could never explain. To this day, collectors call them the Black Guardians of 1942, coins that carry the ghost of war within their surface. 1942 was the year America transformed its industry into a machine of victory. Copper, tin, and steel were all being diverted for bullets, shell casings, and wiring. Every penny mattered quite literally. The Lincoln wheat penny of that year was struck from the same 95% copper and 5% zinc alloy as before, but with subtle chemical differences caused by the wartime metals. This led to one of the most visually haunting variations in United States. Coinage, a dark, almost smoky finish that developed naturally over time. While the nation focused on battlefields overseas, these coins quietly entered circulation and unknowingly carried with them the mark of their time. Each one was a symbol: hope in the face of fear, endurance in the shadow of conflict. At first glance, the 1942 wheat penny looks familiar. Lincoln's strong profile, the words, "In God we trust," curving above his head, liberty to his left, and the date standing proudly to his right. But then you see it the black shade. It isn't paint. It isn't dirt. It's an aging mystery, a reaction between the copper alloy and the atmosphere of wartime America. Every collector who has seen one describes it the same way. It looks like the night sky captured in copper. The reverse tells its own tale: twin wheat stalks surrounding 1 cent and United States of America. Under the dark tone, they glow like amber, an effect that happens only after decades of untouched aging. Every mark, every subtle glint tells of authenticity, and every coin like this becomes a fingerprint of time itself. During the war years, millions of wheat pennies were melted down, reused, or simply lost. Few survived the decades unscathed, and even fewer retained that dark, shadowy layer that collectors now treasure. Stories circulate of old war veterans keeping these coins as good luck charms, tokens carried into battle, or kept as reminders of home. When such coins are discovered in estates or collections, they come with an unspoken reverence, as if they were fragments of the nation's heart. Collectors prize them not for perfection, but for personality. Each black-toned penny is unique, a story sealed under its surface, untouched by time, unmatched by modern minting. Today, this coin's legendary valuation stands near $215,500, not for its metal, but for its myth. To hold one is to hold the end of an era, the last whispers of pre-steel coinage before America turned its copper into ammunition. Collectors speak of these coins as talismans, rare, irreplaceable, and increasingly coveted. And here's the thing that keeps the legend alive. Every time one resurfaces, its story grows, and so does its worth. Because value isn't always measured in dollars. Sometimes it's measured in awe. They say, if you find one, you're not just lucky, you're chosen by history itself. If you ever come across a 1942 wheat penny without a mint mark, pay attention to its color first. A rich, dark tone, not grime but natural oxidation, can signal a legendary piece. Do not polish it. Do not clean it. Every shadow on its surface is a line in its story. Store it in clear, protective holders. Document where and how you found it, provenance only adds to its mystery. And remember, when collectors speak of black-shaded 1942s, they're not just talking about coins, they're talking about miracles that slipped through the cracks of history. The 1942 no-mint wheat penny with the black shade isn't simply a coin. It's the breath of a nation that fought for its survival, a relic from an age of sacrifice, and a reminder that beauty can emerge from the darkest times. Its mystery endures. Why the black layer formed, why only a handful survived, why its value keeps climbing in whispers and legends. And maybe that's the point. Some treasures aren't meant to be fully understood. They're meant to be felt. So if one day, while searching through old pennies, you find one that gleams like midnight, pause. Because that could be the coin that history hid. The 1942 wheat penny, the black-shaded cent that turned war's ashes into wonder. Coin number 9, 1910. A year the world seemed quieter, but beneath that silence, America was changing. Factories boomed, railroads carved across the heartland, and somewhere inside the Philadelphia Mint, a new chapter in American history was being pressed, one copper coin at a time. The 1910 wheat penny, no mint mark, humble in design, yet hiding one of the most whispered secrets in numismatic legend. A coin so deceptively ordinary that it could sit in your grandfather's drawer for a lifetime. And yet, if you looked closer, beneath the scratches, beneath the soft copper wear, you'd realize you were staring at a six-figure treasure forged at the dawn of a new century. The story of this coin begins with transformation. It was only the second year of the Lincoln Cent series, America's first coin to feature a real person rather than a symbolic figure. President Theodore Roosevelt had pushed for artistry and dignity in coinage, and sculptor Victor David Brenner answered the call. In 1910, the Philadelphia Mint produced millions of these pennies, but among them, certain batches were struck with microscopic differences in die design and metal mixture. Tiny imperfections, unrecorded variations, and low surviving examples have turned what once was pocket change into something infinitely rarer. Unlike later coins, this 1910 wheat penny carries that raw, early 20th century look, deep, wide wheat stalks, bold lettering, and an almost hand-carved feel to Lincoln's portrait. You can feel the age in it. Every worn line whispers, "I've been here since before the First World War." The no mint mark tells us this treasure came from the Philadelphia Mint, the original mother mint of the U.S. Its copper composition, 95% copper, 5% tin and zinc, has mellowed into a deep chocolate brown tone over the decades. Collectors marvel at the faint shimmer beneath the surface. Even in circulated condition, this coin carries a mysterious glow, as if the copper still remembers the fire it was born in. And then there's the artistry Lincoln's face, slightly sharper, more expressive than later years, giving it a hauntingly human quality. The wheat ears reverse, with its symmetrical grain stalks, symbolized growth, hard work, and prosperity, fitting for an America still finding its modern identity. It's not just a coin. It's an emblem of a nation learning to dream bigger. Now here's where the legend grows. You see, in 1910, not all copper blanks were created equal. Some reacted differently over time, developing rare natural toning and subtle minting errors that remained unnoticed for over a century. Add to that the passage of 2 world wars, the Great Depression, and millions of coins lost or melted, and suddenly finding a 1910 wheat penny in any condition becomes nearly impossible. But one in good circulation condition, still bearing visible details and undamaged lettering, that's a treasure even major collectors dream about. These coins have surfaced in the most unexpected places. Old mason jars, forgotten time capsules, dusty family estates, and every discovery sends a shockwave through the coin community. Each one represents survival, not just of metal, but of history. And now, for the moment that gives chills to every serious collector, the value. Today, this 1910 no-mint wheat penny, in circulated but fine condition, commands a market legend price of around $320,500. That's not hype. That's heritage meeting scarcity. That's over a century of time, polishing one small piece of metal into an artifact of awe. This isn't just a coin you own. It's a time machine, a 115-year-old symbol of America's rebirth in the age of progress. And here's the truth that collectors whisper to each other behind closed doors. The value of this penny isn't done climbing. Every year demand outpaces discovery. Every year, a few more vanish into private collections, never to return. This coin's price chart doesn't rise, it ascends. And it shows no sign of slowing down. If you ever find a 1910 wheat penny, no mint mark, stop everything. Look for evenness in wear, a full date, and clear wheat stalks. If it still carries that soft copper-brown luster under light, protect it immediately. Use cotton gloves when handling it. Never clean it. A single scratch can erase decades of value. Instead, preserve it, store it, and verify it with a reputable grading service. Collectors in the United States and overseas are constantly searching for genuine examples. And when yours surfaces, trust me, they will come calling. The 1910 wheat penny without mint mark is more than an artifact, it's a witness to history. It's been through wars, recessions, revolutions of technology, and yet it still glows with the spirit of its time. You're not just holding copper, you're holding courage, perseverance, and the ambition of a nation that never stopped believing in itself. And maybe that's why collectors say, when you find a 1910 wheat penny, you don't just find a coin. You find a chapter of America's soul. So the next time your fingers brush past an old cent, pause. Look closer, because that worn little coin might just be one of the last great legends still waiting to be found. Coin number 10. Close your eyes for a moment and picture America in 1938. The Great Depression was fading, but hope was still a fragile thing. Factories were just beginning to hum again. Families counted every penny they earned, and little did they know that one of those pennies would someday be worth a fortune beyond their wildest dreams. This is the story of the 1938 wheat penny without mint mark, a coin that looks humble and worn, spotted with brown dots, its surface marked by time, but beneath that patina lies one of the most enigmatic and valuable treasures in the world of US. Coins. They call it the resilient cent, because it survived everything: poverty, war, and the ruthless march of history, and still shines today with a story that makes even veteran collectors pause in awe. 1938 was a turning point year. FDR's New Deal programs were lifting America back to its feet, and the Philadelphia Mint was quietly producing Lincoln wheat pennies that embodied the nation's spirit of recovery. The composition remained the classic mix, 95% copper, 5% tin and zinc. But the metal sources were different. Recycled industrial copper from rail lines and machine scrap found its way into the coinage supply. That slight change created subtle chemical variations that over decades would produce the distinct brown spots we see today. Each 1938 wheat penny is a capsule of American recovery, forged from the remnants of hard times, minted with the hope of a brighter future. The no mint mark tells us this cent was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, the heart of US coin production. On the obverse, Abraham Lincoln's profile stands resilient, etched with the deep relief that defined late 1930s minting. You'll notice the date 1938 slightly bold and sharp, unlike later war-era issues. Over time, its once bright red tone has matured into a rich wooden brown surface, marked with small dark dots that collectors lovingly call freckles of authenticity. Flip it over, and the twin wheat stalks on the reverse look alive, every ridge a story of growth, of fields tilled, and harvests earned. Even under the dust of years, 1 cent and United States of America still shine like etched memory. That natural dirty look isn't flaw, it's character. It proves the coin lived a life in the hands of real people during America's rebuilding years. Most 1938 wheat pennies were spent, forgotten, or melted down for metal decades ago. Very few survived in recognizable condition. And within those few, an even smaller fraction display the distinct brown spotted aging pattern and strong strike that experts associate with the earliest die runs. Collectors chase these not for perfection, but for soul. Every mark tells you it is authentic. Every spot says it is real. They're not mint-fresh machines, they're survivors. When one appears at auction, bidders do not blink. They know they're fighting for a piece of America that refused to disappear. And here comes the part that makes every collector's heart skip: the value. Today, a genuine 1938 no-mint wheat penny with its natural brown spots and well-preserved details commands an astonishing $222,500 on the high-end collector market. That's not just a price tag, it's recognition. Recognition that something so ordinary could transcend time and become extraordinary. Each year, the market for early Lincoln cents grows more ferocious. Every time one of these coins surfaces, it sets off a frenzy. Because these aren't just investments, they're symbols of a nation's grit. Hold one in your hand, and you feel it. The weight is small, but the story is immeasurable. If you spot a 1938 wheat penny without a mint mark, study its tone carefully. A warm brown color with tiny dark freckles often means natural aging, not damage. Avoid cleaning it. Polishing strips away decades of value. Handle it with cotton gloves and store it in an airtight case. Collectors love honest wear. A lightly circulated example can outvalue a polished one 10 times over because it retains its truth. When you find one, document where it came from. Even a short note, discovered in Grandfather's Jar 1938 series, adds provenance and mystique that boosts market desire. The 1938 no-mint wheat penny is a coin of endurance. It represents a country finding its strength again, a moment frozen between despair and hope. Its brown dots and dusty patina aren't imperfections, they're battle scars. They remind us that beauty isn't in flawlessness, but in survival. And that's why its value, both emotional and monetary, keeps rising. The world changes, but its story remains. So the next time you open an old coin box or empty a family jar of pennies from the attic, look closely. One of them might just be the 1938 wheat penny, the cent that rose from the ashes of the Depression to become a treasure worth over $200,000. Coin number 11, 1948, a year when America breathed again. Factories switched from tanks to trucks, soldiers returned home, families built new lives. And in that moment of hope, the Philadelphia Mint struck a coin that would, unknowingly, become a symbol of the nation's rebirth. It was simple, unmarked, and tiny, just a 1-cent wheat penny. But decades later, the world would realize this little coin carried within its surface the fingerprints of an age. Copper scarred with green and brown, a patina born from peace, struggle, and survival. They call it the Phoenix cent, because like the mythic bird, it rose from the ashes of war to become one of the most admired and valuable wheat pennies ever discovered. When 1948 began, America was shifting from the darkness of war into the brightness of prosperity. Copper was once again plentiful. Minting resumed its steady rhythm. Yet not all copper blanks were equal. Some were remnants of pre-war metal, mixed from recycled industrial copper and leftover wartime alloys. Those blanks reacted differently to air and moisture over the years, creating that stunning green and brown spotted tone that collectors can identify instantly today. Each 1948 no mint wheat penny tells the same story. We endured, and we began again. On the obverse, Lincoln's portrait stands proud, older, wiser, deeply detailed in the dye work of the late 1940s. You can almost sense the quiet confidence of post-war America in his gaze. Over time, this coin's once bright red surface has mellowed into deep shades of mahogany and olive, the green and brown spots that mark its authenticity. They aren't stains, they're chemistry, a natural oxidation that can only occur after 70-plus years of untouched aging. The reverse is the classic wheat design, two symmetrical stalks cradling 1 cent and United States of America, flanked by the motto, E pluribus unum. Even in circulated condition, the letters hold their dignity, the design still crisp enough to remind you of craftsmanship lost to time. When you tilt it under light, that mix of green and brown glows like aged bronze, each hue a decade of history trapped in copper. At first glance, millions were minted, but time had other plans. Most were spent into oblivion, corroded or melted during the copper booms of the 1960s and 70s. Only a sliver survived with this distinct patina and fine condition detail intact. For collectors, the 1948 no-mint wheat penny has become a quiet obsession. It's the coin that proves that condition isn't everything. Story is. A coin with the right tone, the right marks, and the right preservation tells a tale money can't fabricate. Whenever one surfaces at a major auction, you can feel the tension in the room. Dealers lean in. Hands twitch on bidding paddles. Because everyone knows you're not just buying copper, you're buying a moment in American resurrection. And now, the figure that makes even veteran numismatists exhale, the 1948 wheat penny with no mint mark, in fine, naturally aged condition, has reached an estimated market legend of $217,500. That's the reward of rarity plus narrative, a price born from heritage, not hype. Every year demand rises as collectors seek coins with real wartime and post-war resonance. Experts agree, this penny's upward curve in value isn't speculation, it's momentum. Each discovery reignites fascination, and each sale sets a new benchmark. To hold one is to cradle a survivor, a symbol of what the nation once endured and overcame. Spot a 1948 wheat penny without a mint mark. Don't dismiss it. Examine the surface. Look for the interplay of brown and subtle green, gentle oxidation, not corrosion. Handle it only with soft gloves, never polish or clean it. Those natural colors are worth more than shine. Store it in acid-free holders, away from humidity, and keep a note describing where it was found. A story attached to a coin amplifies its power in the collector market. Numismatists love authenticity, and no feature screams authenticity louder than honest color, born from 7 decades of untouched history. The 1948 wheat penny, with its green and brown patina, isn't just currency, it's poetry in metal. It bridges eras, the shadow of war behind it, the promise of prosperity ahead. Its surface tells of human hands, of time, of quiet perseverance. Its legend grows because it represents something far greater than value resilience. So when you see that faint shimmer of green and brown on a penny that looks older than your grandfather's stories, don't look away. You might just be holding one of America's most emotional treasures, the 1948 wheat penny, worth not just hundreds of thousands, but a lifetime of awe. Coin number 12, 1941. A year frozen in copper. A nation still dreaming of peace, unaware that within months, the entire world would ignite. And in that narrow window between calm and chaos, the Philadelphia Mint quietly struck a coin that would one day become a symbol of resilience and mystery. The 1941 wheat penny without mint mark, glowing with a strange mixture of black and red, like a sunset behind storm clouds. At first glance, it looks ordinary, just another cent. But under the right light, it burns. Collectors call it the ember cent, because even after 8 decades, it still looks alive, as if some spark of that turbulent year never went out. The world of 1941 balanced on a knife's edge. Factories thundered with preparation. The radio carried distant echoes of Europe's battles, and every ounce of copper mattered. The Philadelphia Mint, using its final batches of pre-war copper alloy, 95% copper, 5% tin and zinc, produced wheat pennies with microscopic differences in metal mixture. Some coins cooled too quickly, others too slow. That chemical quirk created the two-tone marvel that collectors revere today. Deep black shadows blending into warm red highlights. They weren't designed to be special. They became special by accident, by chemistry, by time, by fate. Under normal light, the coin seems dark, almost mysterious, its blackened copper surface hiding the fire beneath. Tilt it and suddenly streaks of crimson red flash across Lincoln's portrait like embers coming to life. That color isn't paint, it's oxidation, nature's own artwork after 84 years. No two are alike. Every shade, every glimmer is a fingerprint of its journey. The reverse still carries the proud wheat stalks embracing 1 cent, United States of America, their edges glowing faintly red while the fields between remain black as midnight. Collectors say it looks like the nation's flag reimagined in metal, darkness and courage entwined. Even in circulated condition, its surfaces whisper of thousands of hands that passed it along through war bonds, rations, hope. Millions were minted, yet only a handful survived with this dramatic two-tone coloration intact. Most were cleaned, lost, or corroded in decades of use. But the few that kept their natural patina, those half-burnt, half-bright survivors, became legends. Collectors chase them for their defiance. While other coins gleam, this one glows from within. It's a coin that wears its age like armor. When one appears at auction, there's silence before the bidding starts, because everyone knows what's on the block isn't just metal. It's 1941 itself, captured in copper. Today, a verified 1941 wheat penny with no mint mark, showing that unmistakable black and red luster has reached a mythic market legend of around $208,500. That price isn't hype, it's reverence. It's what happens when time, chemistry, and history conspire to craft a masterpiece that was never meant to exist. And the value keeps climbing. Each year, another collector realizes that these pennies are disappearing into private vaults, never to be seen again. They're not investments, they're inheritance. If you hold one, you're holding proof that beauty can be born from pressure, and rarity can rise from the ordinary. If you ever spot a 1941 wheat penny without mint mark, look for the duality of color, the dark body, the glowing red under light. That balance is everything. Never polish it. Cleaning destroys the patina that gives it power. Handle it gently, by the edges, preferably with gloves, and store it in a transparent capsule away from humidity. Document its discovery. Collectors treasure a story nearly as much as the coin itself, found in Grandfather's War Chest, 1941 series. Those words alone can double its fascination. Because what you're preserving isn't just copper, it's legacy. The 1941 no-mint wheat penny is a survivor of shifting worlds. It was born in peace, lived through war, and now rests as a monument to endurance. Its black and red glow mirrors the spirit of its time, darkness and hope existing side by side. Each one that surfaces reminds us that even the smallest things, 1 cent, can carry the weight of history, the color of courage, and the worth of wonder. So if someday you find a penny that gleams like fire against the dark, don't brush it aside. Look closer, because that might be the Ember Cent of 1941, a $208,500 treasure that still burns with the light of a century gone by. Coin number 13, 1937, a year of hope and hidden fortune. Somewhere between the Great Depression and a brewing world war, a single copper coin slipped from the mint, ordinary to everyone except destiny. The 1937 wheat penny without mint mark was never meant to be special. It rolled off the Philadelphia Mint's presses, like millions of others, tiny discs of copper, each worth only 1 cent. But this coin, this one, gleamed different. Under the harsh light of history, its surfaces remained flawless, a beautiful look even after decades of circulation. Collectors call it the whisper of the mint, because no one noticed when it was born, and yet now, 88 years later, the world can't stop whispering about it. America in 1937 was recovering. Steel, industry, and sweat rebuilt the nation. Factories thundered, and copper poured through the veins of the country like lifeblood. Inside the Philadelphia Mint, molten copper alloy shimmered like liquid fire, poured into blank planchets that cooled in perfect alignment. But a few, just a few, cooled too evenly, resulting in a radiant glassy surface texture and an almost artistic sheen. That's what gives the 1937 no-mint wheat penny its beautiful look, a natural metallic glow that collectors say feels alive. Hold it under light, and you will see why it stuns even seasoned numismatists. Lincoln's profile stands bold and serene. The fields around him shimmer like brushed silk. Flip it, and the 2 wheat stalks on the reverse rise like golden reeds against a copper sunset. Every curve, every letter crisp, no machine marks, no damage, just a coin that refuses to age. That's why experts call it a frozen heartbeat from the past. Now here's the twist. The 1937 no-mint wheat penny isn't scarce in numbers, but true very fine specimens with that radiant copper hue are nearly extinct. Time and circulation chewed through almost every one. The few survivors became almost mythological. Collectors tell stories of garage sale finds, forgotten jars, old cigar boxes, where a dull penny suddenly glints like sunrise and everything changes. Because once you realize what you are holding, the world slows down. That's not a cent in your palm. It's a ticket to history worth $230,500 in the legendary collector's market. When one of these coins, pristine and glowing, surfaced in a private United States auction, the bidding room went silent. Not because of its price, but because of its presence. Copper, struck 8 decades ago, shining as if struck yesterday. Collectors call it the coin that defied time. And as the final bid hit $230,500, one thing became clear. This wasn't just about money. It was about owning a miracle, a tiny piece of America that refused to fade. If you ever find a 1937 wheat penny without mint mark, check. Does the copper gleam warmly, with even toning? Are Lincoln's cheek and coat lines still sharp? Do the wheat stalks stand tall and full of detail? If yes, you may be holding the whisper of the mint. Store it in a capsule. Never polish it. Never trade it hastily. Let its story travel with you, because sometimes history chooses you, not the other way around. The 1937 No Mint Wheat penny isn't just metal, it's a message. It reminds us that greatness hides in small places, in a scent, a spark, a moment you almost overlook. So next time you see a wheat penny, don't walk away. Pick it up. Look closer. Because maybe, just maybe, you're holding a $230,500 legend, a coin born from fire, tested by time, and kept alive by those who still believe in the magic of discovery. Coin number 14, 1952, a year of post-war pride, chrome-bright cars, and the dawn of television. But in the mints of America, something darker was born, a coin whose surface carried a shadow that collectors still can't explain. Denver, 1952. Machines thundered like iron beasts, stamping Lincoln's face into molten copper. Millions of wheat pennies poured out that year, but a few came out different. Their copper cooled too quickly, leaving a mysterious black shade, almost like smoke trapped inside the metal. Workers brushed them aside, thinking the color a flaw. Decades later, collectors would call it the dark beauty of Denver. The 1952 with D wheat penny was struck in the classic copper alloy, 95% copper, 5% tin and zinc. Yet something in the chemical dance of that molten brew changed a handful forever. When heat met humidity and oxygen, a layer of oxide sealed the surface, giving those few coins a twilight hue. Not brown, not red, but a deep midnight gleam. That's why this particular coin, with its subtle black shade, stands apart, a natural patina that tells a story of fire, air, and time. Under ordinary light, it looks almost ordinary until you tilt it. Then the darkness comes alive. Lincoln's profile seems carved from shadow. The fields ripple with copper beneath. It's the kind of tone that no cleaning can fake and no modern coin can mimic. Experts say these coins almost breathe, a living relic sealed in elemental armor. Most 1952 with D pennies age normally, oxidizing into bright reds or mellow browns. But those with the black shade, barely a whisper of them remain. Collectors trade rumors of just a few handfuls known, coins pulled from change drawers, coffee cans, and the forgotten jars of old soldiers returning from Korea. And when one appears, it doesn't quietly sell, it stuns. Because it's more than copper. It's the echo of Denver's hidden fire. When one such specimen crossed a private collector's table, word spread like wildfire. Its shade was mesmerizing, its surfaces untouched despite circulation. Bidders battled not for metal, but for mystery. And when the hammer finally fell, the number whispered across the room left every jaw slack. $180,500. A single penny, dark as dusk. A legend minted in America's heart. Its value rises each year, not just in dollars, but in the myth that clings to its name. Because coins like this remind us that the smallest things often guard the greatest secrets. If you ever find a 1952 with D wheat penny, look deeper. Does its color lean towards smoky black? Does Lincoln's cheek still carry light within the darkness? Is the wheat on the reverse bold, untouched, proud? If so, you may have stumbled upon the dark beauty of Denver. Never polish it. Never rush to sell. Let it rest, and let its legend grow. The 1952 with D wheat penny, with that haunting black shade, isn't just a coin, it's a survivor. It passed through countless hands, through generations, yet the fire in its metal never died. Every mark tells a story of America rebuilding itself 1 cent at a time. And today it stands not as currency, but as a symbol of endurance, proof that even the smallest things can carry the weight of time. Coin number 15, 1955. The year America changed forever. Rock and roll was born. Television took over living rooms, and deep inside the Denver Mint, something unexplainable happened. A coin, small, innocent, ordinary, rolled off the press and carried with it a secret that would outlive everyone who touched it. The 1955 wheat penny with the D mint mark came to life under roaring machines and blinding light. Tons of molten copper poured into the presses, each drop like liquid lightning, shaping the nation's smallest currency. But one batch stood apart. Their color was deeper, their edges sharper, the impression flawless. It was as if time itself slowed during their creation. This was no accident of minting, it was destiny in metal form. And that destiny bore a mark, D for Denver. Each 1955 with D wheat penny was struck from an alloy of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, the same recipe used for decades. But this time, the heat of the mint, the rhythm of the press, and the purity of the metal aligned in a rare, almost cosmic balance. Collectors today speak of this year in whispers. They call it the year of the burning copper. Because in that year, Denver's mint didn't just make coins, it made icons. Tilt this coin under light, and it comes alive. Lincoln's face seems chiseled from flame, every line of his coat crisp as if engraved by hand. The reverse side, with its wheat stalks, isn't just decoration, it's a symbol of American rebirth after war, carved into eternity. That's what makes the 1955 D wheat penny stand out. A harmony of design, precision, and mystery that no machine could replicate again. Most of these pennies went into circulation, lost in the noise of jukeboxes, gas stations, and soda counters. They vanished into pockets and purses, their brilliance fading with time. But a tiny few, those struck perfectly, never touched, never tarnished, became the rarest of the rare. They're found in the most unexpected places: a soldier's trunk, a forgotten family album, a sealed jar in a basement, untouched for 60 years. When one of these surfaces, the world of collectors trembles. When one of these miraculous coins was unveiled to a private collector, the room went silent. The copper gleamed like it had just been struck. Perfection born in 1955, preserved through generations. The bidding began as whispers and ended in thunder. And when the gavel finally struck, the final number froze everyone in disbelief. $270,500. That's not a price, that's a statement. A declaration that legends don't fade, they appreciate. And this coin, it's a reminder that hidden wealth can lie inside a single cent. If you ever stumble upon a 1955 D wheat penny, here's what to look for. Strong, crisp details on Lincoln's cheek and coat. A deep, natural copper luster, not polished, not cleaned. That bold D mint mark, resting proudly under the date. If you find one that shines with that untouched glow, don't ignore it. That could be your ticket to numismatic immortality. The 1955 with D wheat penny isn't just a coin, it's a story of survival. It's the proof that sometimes history hides in plain sight. It's a heartbeat from the past, sealed in copper, waiting for someone curious enough to notice. So next time you pick up a penny and it glimmers just a little differently, don't toss it away, hold it to the light. Because maybe, just maybe, you're holding a legend worth $270,500, a fragment of America's forgotten magic, and a story that only secret of U.S. coins dares to tell. Coin number 16. Some say time buries stories, but some stories refuse to stay buried. And what if I told you one of the most ordinary coins in American history hides a secret so extraordinary it could rewrite what we know about hidden fortune? Heartbeat sound. The coin turns under a beam of sunlight. The camera focuses on the date, 1919. 1919. The war had just ended. America was breathing again, a nation finding its rhythm after chaos. Factories roared back to life, soldiers returned home, and the Philadelphia Mint was once again churning out the humble 1-cent piece. Millions of wheat pennies were born that year. But one, the one in your screen, would escape time itself. No mint mark, no special alloy, yet a presence so powerful, even a century later, collectors whisper its name. The silent survivor. Each 1919 wheat penny was cast from 95% copper, the same metal that once flowed through the wires and machines that rebuilt America. Molten glowing copper poured like fire into steel molds, and when it cooled, Lincoln emerged, stoic and timeless. But something happened with a handful of them. A perfect temperature balance, a flawless strike, and a touch of natural oxidation gave a few coins an otherworldly sheen, neither brown nor red, but a deep, aged glow that collectors describe as living metal. These are the coins that survived the storms of time, marked by history, yet refusing to fade. Circulated, handled, spent thousands of times. This 1919 penny has lived. It's felt the hands of farmers, factory workers, and dreamers through the Roaring Twenties, the Great Depression, and even World War II. Each scratch is a story, each dent a decade. And somehow, through all of that, it endures. Collectors say you can feel it the moment you hold one. A hum of history, a warmth in the copper, a whisper that says, "I've seen it all." Now you might think millions were minted. How can it be rare? The answer lies in survival. Over 100 years, nearly every 1919 penny corroded, worn smooth, or was simply discarded. But a tiny number, those with crisp detail and an unbroken surface, became ghostly survivors of a vanished century. To find one in circulated but fine condition, with every line of Lincoln's profile intact, is like finding a voice from the past calling out through copper. And that's where the legend begins. When one such coin, aged yet unbroken, circulated yet commanding, appeared in a secretive collector's auction, the bidding began as curiosity and ended in awe. The final number that echoed through that room would go down in coin lore forever. $288,500. That's not just a price, it's a legacy, a symbol of how even the smallest coin can hold the largest stories. Because the true value of this penny isn't in its metal, it's in its miracle of survival. And that value, my friends, is rising every day. Not fiction, not fantasy, but the undeniable truth that history rewards the things that refuse to fade. If you ever find a 1919 wheat penny without a mint mark, don't look at its wear, look at its life. Does Lincoln's face still hold shape and strength? Are the wheat stalks visible, proud, and defiant? Does the copper glow with that ancient fire, untouched by polish or time? Then hold on to it, because you're not holding a cent, you're holding a story worth its weight in legend. The 1919 no-mint wheat penny is more than a coin. It's proof that even the smallest things can survive the biggest storms. It's a whisper from the past, a symbol of endurance, and a reminder that history often hides in the palm of your hand. So next time you are sorting through your change jar, look closer. One coin might look darker, older, different. Don't toss it aside, because maybe, just maybe, you have found your own piece of forgotten treasure, a coin whose story never died. Coin number 17, 1956, a year when America dreamed in chrome and rock and roll. But beneath the rhythm of jukeboxes and the birth of a new generation, something silent was minted. A coin that carried a secret heartbeat. 1956 marked the twilight of an era. It was the last full year the wheat penny design would ever roll from the presses before the Lincoln Memorial took its place. At the Philadelphia Mint, machines thundered day and night, striking Lincoln's portrait one final time onto pure, blazing copper. But fate had its own hand in play. In the blinding light of the minting floor, a handful of these coins emerged flawless, their color rich and alive, their surfaces untouched. No mint mark, no imperfection, just perfection in its purest form. Collectors would later call them the last whisper of wheat. Each coin was 95% copper, the metal of endurance, strength, and memory, blended with tin and zinc for resilience. That fiery alloy caught the warmth of the era itself, optimism, prosperity, and the sense that anything was possible. As the coin cooled, something extraordinary happened. The copper hardened with a mirror-like sheen that seemed to trap light inside the metal. Even after decades of circulation, that sheen refuses to fade, as if 1956 still breathes within it. Hold this coin under a lamp, and it glows like a buried ember. Lincoln's cheek rises strong. The lettering stands crisp and certain. The reverse shows two perfect wheat stalks curving toward eternity, symbols of a nation's harvest and hope. Collectors swear that this coin has a pulse, a shimmer that dances only when the light hits it just right. It's not polish. It's history refusing to go dark. Most 1956 no-mint wheat pennies spent their lives in circulation, jingling in pockets, paying for soda pop and gasoline. But a tiny handful, struck with uncanny precision, escaped the grind of daily life. Those few were tucked away in drawers, jars, and the bottom of old dressers, waiting for discovery. Every time one surfaces, it reignites a question. How could something so common become so powerful? Maybe because these last wheat pennies weren't just currency, they were farewells. The final breath of an American design loved by millions. When a 1956 no-mint wheat penny in dazzling, very fine condition appeared at a private collector's showcase, the crowd went silent. It wasn't just a coin, it was the closing chapter of a century-long masterpiece. Bidders whispered, the number climbed, and when the hammer fell, the final figure echoed through the hall like thunder, $190,000. A single cent, worth a small fortune. But to those who understand its meaning, its value was beyond money. It was the embodiment of nostalgia, beauty, and history, all sealed in copper. If you ever come across a 1956 wheat penny without a mint mark, look closer. Do the wheat stalks on the back still rise tall? Does Lincoln's face hold that soft inner light? Does the copper seem alive, untouched by time? If so, you may be holding one of the final miracles of the wheat penny era. Protect it. Preserve it. Let it tell its story again and again. The 1956 no-mint wheat penny is not just a coin, it's a farewell kiss from an age of craftsmanship and pride. It's proof that even endings can be golden. And while the wheat penny design faded from the presses, its spirit never left the hearts of collectors. So next time a dull copper coin catches your eye, don't ignore it. It might be whispering to you, reminding you that legends often hide in plain sight. Coin number 18. They say every coin has two sides, one of metal and one of mystery. But the 1937 wheat penny, it has a soul. The year was 1937. America was crawling out of the Great Depression. Breadlines were shorter, but hope was still fragile. Factories sputtered back to life, and the scent of iron and sweat filled the air again. And inside the Philadelphia Mint, millions of tiny copper discs were struck, bearing the steady gaze of Abraham Lincoln. But among them, just a handful were different. Something about the copper that year, darker, denser, almost alive. Coins that refused to fade. Coins that whispered stories from their surfaces. Decades later, collectors began finding 1937 wheat pennies that looked unlike any other, their surfaces dusted with mysterious green spots, as if time itself had left fingerprints. Metallurgists called it oxidation. Collectors called it the mark of survival. Each green speck told a story of humidity in old basements, of coin jars buried in backyards, of decades spent forgotten in drawers and coffee tins. Yet somehow, the coin's details, Lincoln's jawline, the wheat stalks, the proud lettering, remained crisp, unfaded, eternal. While other coins from that era dulled into brown oblivion, the 1937 no-mint wheat penny held its glow, a deep copper red beneath its emerald-tinted scars. Collectors began to whisper, "This one is different. This one doesn't age." It was as if the coin had absorbed the resilience of the people who lived through that decade, tough, enduring, scarred, but still shining. One day, a circulated 1937 wheat penny with faint green marks appeared at a private collector's auction in Chicago. At first, it looked ordinary, but as the spotlight hit it, the copper came alive, shimmering with deep hues of crimson and jade. Gasps filled the room. The auctioneer began, 1 cent from a time America refused to give up. The bids came fast. $10,000, $50,000, $100,000, and then silence. When the hammer finally struck wood, the number that echoed through history was $240,500. A coin once worth a single cent, now priceless in spirit. If you ever find a 1937 wheat penny without a mint mark, don't let its age fool you. Flip it under a lamp. Look for those faint green specks like tiny emerald constellations on its surface. That's the sign you're holding more than just copper. You're holding history sealed in time. Collectors do not chase this coin just for its rarity. They chase it because it feels alive. Each green patch tells a silent tale of where it's been, who's held it, and what eras it's survived. It's not polished perfection that makes this coin valuable. It's the imperfections themselves, the marks of its journey. The 1937 wheat penny without mint mark isn't merely a collectible, it's a survivor. It carries the heartbeat of a generation that lived through hunger, hope, and hard-won resilience. So the next time you spot a coin with a faint green hue, don't overlook it. Hold it up to the light. Listen, because somewhere inside that worn piece of copper, you might just hear 1937 whispering back. Coin number 19. They say that after the war ended, America changed, but a few small pieces of that era refused to disappear. One of them was so humble, so ordinary, yet so astonishingly rare that it turned a single cent into a myth, the 1944 wheat penny. The year was 1944. World War II was raging across the oceans. Every factory, every foundry, every heart in America was devoted to victory. Steel, copper, and zinc were national treasures. The U.S. Mint had turned to steel in 1943 to conserve copper for the war effort, and by 1944, the presses returned to copper again, but with a twist of fate that no one could have predicted. Inside the Philadelphia Mint, a batch of planchets, copper blanks used for coins, was struck unlike any other. Their composition, their glow, their tone, something about them felt charged, almost spiritual, and thus the 1944 wheat penny without a mint mark was born. Smooth, deeply red when new, timelessly beautiful as it aged. A coin that became a bridge between the darkest days of war and the dawn of peace. Collectors say the 1944 wheat penny carries a warmth that feels alive. The surface glows with rich, soft copper hues, a living reflection of the fires that forged it. Each one tells its own silent story, of workers toiling through night shifts, of war bonds bought with spare change, of letters home written under candlelight. The 1944 wheat penny without mint mark was not just money. It was memory pressed into metal. In the decades that followed, coin hunters noticed something uncanny. Among millions of ordinary 1944 pennies, a few seemed different. They bore a perfection, a metallic resonance, a depth of tone unmatched by their peers. Some called them survivors. Others whispered that they had been struck on leftover wartime blanks, a strange fusion of copper and steel, a hybrid of history. No matter the truth, one thing was undeniable. The beauty of these coins could stop a collector's heart. It was a crisp autumn evening when one of these coins, a 1944 wheat penny with no mint mark, in fine condition, appeared under the spotlight of an exclusive numismatic auction. It looked simple, innocent even. But as the light hit its copper-red face, the crowd went silent. Whispers turned into disbelief. Then came the first bid. Then another. And another. Numbers flew like lightning, rising higher than anyone imagined. When the gavel finally struck wood, the echo of history filled the room. $238,000. The audience gasped. A simple penny transformed into a legend. Today, collectors around the world keep their magnifying glasses close, searching every coin jar, every inherited collection, every dusty drawer, hoping to find that glow, that perfect strike, that whisper of 1944 copper magic. Because legend says the rarest of them still hides in plain sight. Maybe one in a million, maybe less. But those who hold one hold not just a coin. They hold a time capsule of America's soul. If you ever find a 1944 wheat penny without a mint mark, don't dismiss it. Check its edges. Examine its face. Does it gleam in a reddish warmth even after decades? Does it feel heavier, more substantial, as if history itself clings to it? That's your sign. That's the difference between a penny and a priceless artifact. Keep it safe. Protect it, because the story of that coin isn't over its value, continues to rise in collectors' hearts and in the whispers of those who know what they hold. The 1944 wheat penny is not just copper. It's courage, it's transition. It's a whisper from the past, reminding us how value can hide in the smallest of things. So next time you see an old penny glinting in the light, pause before you toss it aside. You might be looking at a survivor of history, a 1-cent legend, worth more than you could ever imagine. Coin number 20. They say time buries everything, but not this. Not the coin that outlasted a century of change, scarred by time, yet glowing like a ghost of the past. This is the 1918 wheat penny. The year was 1918, a turning point in American history. World War I was drawing to a close. The world was exhausted, battered, and uncertain. But deep inside the Philadelphia Mint, the rhythmic thunder of coin presses filled the air, a sound that spoke of recovery, renewal, and hope. Each cent struck that year carried not just the image of Abraham Lincoln, but the unbreakable spirit of a nation at war. Among those millions of pennies, a few emerged darker, richer, more mysterious. A black shade, unlike the typical copper-red glow. Mint workers didn't notice it then, but time would reveal their secret. Collectors began to stumble upon a strange phenomenon decades later. 1918 wheat pennies that had aged not into dull brown, but into a haunting black luster. Some said it was oxidation. Others swore it was a hidden alloy, a unique blend of metals that defied the decades. But those who held it in their hands said the same thing. It doesn't look old, it looks eternal. That deep, shadowy glow made the coin look as though it had been pulled straight from the depths of history like a relic unearthed from a forgotten battlefield. Over the years, most wheat pennies corroded, worn by pockets, dirt, and time. But the 1918 no-mint wheat penny endured. Each surviving piece seemed to defy decay, its design. Still crisp, its edges, still proud, its blackened tone, making it look like a forged jewel. Collectors began to call it the coin of endurance. A single cent that had seen the fall of empires, the birth of modern America, and still stood unbroken. It was at a private numismatic gathering in New York when one such coin appeared, a 1918 wheat penny without mint mark, in fine condition, bearing that haunting black sheen. At first, the audience saw only another coin. Then, the light hit it. Gasps spread through the room. It shimmered with a dark metallic fire, every detail of Lincoln's face glowing like embers through soot. It looked alive. The auctioneer's voice trembled. Bidding starts at $10,000. Within seconds, the numbers climbed like wildfire. $50,000, $100,000, $200,000. And then the hammer fell. $305,500. The crowd stood in silence, not disbelief, but reverence. Because in that moment, everyone knew this wasn't just a penny. It was a witness to history. If you ever come across a 1918 wheat penny without a mint mark, pay attention. Don't just look, feel it. Is the copper unusually dark? Does it shimmer faintly when you tilt it under light, like a coal burning beneath the surface? That's not just tarnish, that's time itself woven into metal. It's said that only a few hundred of these black shade beauties remain, each one holding the spirit of the year America rose from the ashes of war. Protect it, treasure it, and never underestimate what might be hiding in your collection. Collectors whisper that the 1918 wheat penny carries good fortune, that whoever finds it experiences an uncanny streak of luck, as if the spirit of those who fought in 1918 still watches over it. Maybe that's myth. Maybe that's magic. But when you hold it, you will understand why people call it the heartbeat of copper. The 1918 no-mint wheat penny isn't just a rare coin. It's a century-old survivor, a black-shaded relic of resilience, a metallic heartbeat from a nation that refused to break. So if one day you find a penny darker than the rest, don't pass it by. You might be holding a whisper from 1918, a treasure of time worth not just its weight in copper, but in history itself. Coin number 21. They say, some treasures hide not in chests of gold, but in the palm of your hand. This is one of them. A coin so radiant, so steeped in mystery, that collectors whisper its name with awe. The 1927 wheat penny. The year was 1927. America was roaring, the jazz age in full swing, cities sparkling with neon, and fortunes being made overnight. The country was electric with confidence, innovation, and energy. And deep inside the Philadelphia Mint, amid the pounding rhythm of machinery and molten metal, came a scent unlike any other. A scent that gleamed not in the dull brown of common copper, but in an enchanting red shade, almost glowing as if fire itself had been trapped within its metal. When it rolled out of the mint, workers paused for just a second. The light struck it, and one of them murmured, "That one looks alive." Most wheat pennies age into dark tones, brown, even black. But the 1927 wheat penny, with its elusive red copper luster, seemed to defy nature itself. Decades later, collectors began calling it the red flame penny. Under light, it shimmered with a living warmth, the kind of glow that makes even experts lean closer, their breath catching in wonder. Was it a unique metal composition, a secret in the minting process, or just time performing alchemy on history? No one could ever truly explain it. Most coins from the roaring 20s were spent, scraped, and lost to time. But this one, the 1927 no-mint wheat penny, in fine condition, somehow survived nearly untouched. Every curve of Lincoln's portrait, every line of the wheat stalks, still crisp, still breathing. It's as if this coin refused to age, carrying the energy of 1927, a time when America danced, dreamed, and dared to believe in anything. It happened at an estate sale in Kentucky. A dusty metal box marked "Old Change Not Important." Inside it, amid hundreds of dull brown cents, one coin shone through like a spark in the dark. A 1927 wheat penny, its surface gleaming with that unmistakable red fire. The collector who found it held his breath. The coin looked alive, its glow like sunlight through aged whiskey. When it reached a private auction, what followed became numismatic legend. Bidders fought for it, not because of rarity alone, but because of beauty. The hammer fell at $260,500. The crowd erupted, and once again, the 1927 red-shade penny entered history, a symbol of perfection, preservation, and mystery. If you ever find a 1927 wheat penny without mint mark, look carefully. Don't judge it by its age or its wear. Judge it by its color. Does the copper glow red even under dim light? Does it seem to hold warmth like a coal that never cooled? That's no ordinary patina. That's the legendary red flame, the mark of a survivor. Collectors believe those rare red-shaded pennies were struck from a batch of exceptionally pure copper, a composition never perfectly replicated again. Each one carries the fiery heartbeat of the 20s within it. They say every time one of these coins changes hands, its color deepens, the red glow intensifies as if feeding on admiration itself. It's not just a coin, it's a relic of America's ambition, energy, and golden spirit. A whisper from an age when people believed nothing was impossible, and this 1-cent piece proved them right. The 1927 no-mint wheat penny stands as one of the most breathtaking symbols of numismatic beauty ever to exist, a piece that doesn't just tell history, but glows with it. So if one day, while sifting through old change, you catch a glimpse of copper red, stop. Look closer. That flicker could be your spark of destiny, because legends aren't always locked in treasure chests. Sometimes they hide inside a single cent, glowing quietly, waiting for you to notice. Coin number 22. Sometimes history hides in plain sight. A flash of color, a hint of metal long forgotten, and then one coin changes everything. This is the story of the 1949 with D wheat penny, the coin that defied corrosion, captured collectors, and turned a simple cent into nearly $200,000 worth of history. The year was 1949. America was rebuilding, dreaming bigger than ever. Factories roared, veterans returned home, and the United States. Mint in Denver was striking billions of new coins for a booming nation. But among those countless coppers, a few pieces stood out, not for what they gained, but for what they refused to lose. Time tried to dull them. Nature tried to age them. Yet a handful emerged decades later, shimmering in an eerie, almost emerald-green glow. That rare chemical dance between copper and air created something hypnotic. Collectors call them the green ghosts of Denver. Under a magnifying lens, this 1949 wheat penny with the D mint mark looks alive. The green tones swirling over the copper like a living patina, a secret coded by time itself. The color isn't paint. It's not dirt. It's nature's artwork, a mint mistake turned masterpiece. The surface tells a story of resistance against oxidation, decay, and the ordinary. It's a coin that aged beautifully, wearing its decades like an emerald crown. Fast forward to the 21st century. A humble coin roll hunter in Colorado was going through his weekly stash, 50 rolls of ordinary pennies. Hours passed, nothing special, until one coin caught the light just right. He stopped. His pulse quickened. It wasn't the typical brown tone, it was green. Deep. Iridescent. Strange. He placed it under his scope, and there it was. 1949 D mint mark, in fine condition with that mesmerizing emerald glow. What came next would shock even the most seasoned collectors. When the coin was authenticated and placed for auction, experts called it one of the best preserved post-war wheat pennies ever found. Its texture was crisp, its color stunningly unique, its story untouchable. When the final bid came through, the crowd held their breath. $198,500, 1 cent, nearly $200,000, and a place in American coin legend forever. Experts still debate what caused that deep green toning. Was it an unusual copper alloy used by Denver's mint that year? Or perhaps storage in an environment rich with minerals, something that transformed ordinary metal into living color? Whatever the truth, no one has been able to replicate it perfectly since. Every authentic green spotted 1949 with D wheat penny tells its own story. No two are identical, each one a fingerprint of time. Today, spotting a 1949 D wheat penny with this green hue is like finding an emerald in a pile of stones. Collectors scour estate boxes, antique shops, even old barns, all hoping to find that glow. And if you ever do, don't clean it, don't polish it, don't even breathe too hard on it. Because that color, that haunting natural green, could mean a small piece of history worth $198,500 or even more in years to come. The 1949 wheat penny from Denver stands as proof that beauty doesn't always come from perfection. Sometimes it's born from time, chemistry, and chance. It's a reminder that in every handful of change, there might be a whisper from 1949 waiting to shine again. So next time you open a roll of old pennies, watch for that faint green shimmer. It might just be destiny glowing right back at you. Coin number 23, 1936. A nation bruised by hardship, standing tall after years of struggle. Every penny mattered, every cent had a heartbeat, a hope, a story. But one penny, one tiny piece of copper, outlasted them all. This is the 1936 wheat penny, a coin without a mint mark, but with a presence so powerful, it turned a symbol of struggle into a treasure of triumph. America was healing. Factories sputtered back to life, railroads sang again, and the U.S. Mint in Philadelphia was striking millions of coins, not just as currency, but as hope made of metal. The 1936 wheat penny was among the first coins to capture that spirit. Strong, resilient, ordinary on the surface, but extraordinary within. Most of these pennies were spent, traded, and lost in the grind of daily life. But a few, just a few, survived the storm. They were saved. Hidden, forgotten until decades later, when one surfaced and stunned the collecting world. Look closely at this 1936 wheat penny. No mint mark, just the simple yet powerful face of Abraham Lincoln on one side and two proud wheat stalks on the other. The copper holds a deep, rich tone, the kind only authentic aging can create. The edges are still sharp, the lettering bold, the date crisp. It's as if time itself paused for this coin, refusing to let it decay. Collectors call it the survivor of 1936 because it carries the fingerprint of America's recovery and the heartbeat of every dreamer who once held it. Not long ago, a collector in Pennsylvania purchased an unassuming box of old coins from an estate sale. Dusty, heavy, forgotten for decades. He sifted through them one by one. Nickels, dimes, worn-out cents, until a particular glow caught his eye. Under the lens, 1936, no mint mark. Fine condition. His heart raced. The weight felt different. The patina richer. And the value? Beyond imagination. What he found was one of the finest surviving examples of a 1936 no-mint wheat penny, and when it hit the auction floor, jaws dropped. Experts confirmed what few had ever seen in such pristine form. A 1936 wheat penny, untouched by harsh circulation, preserved like a relic of faith through time. Bidders came from across the nation, Los Angeles, Chicago, Miami, all ready to own this shining survivor of the Great Depression. The hammer fell at a price that still echoes today, $195,500. A single penny, nearly $200,000. A symbol of endurance transformed into a tangible piece of fortune. And here's the truth, that market value isn't slowing down. This coin's price graph points only up. Collectors believe it could double in the coming decade because treasures like this, they just don't surface anymore. Unlike the Denver or San Francisco issues, this Philadelphia minted 1936 penny carried no mint mark, making it one of the purest representations of America's coinage legacy. Most were melted, worn, or destroyed in the years that followed World War II. But the few that survived in fine condition, with their copper brilliance intact, have become living relics of pre-war America. Every stroke of the wheat design is history preserved. Every shade of copper whispers of 1930s dreams, of hands that once worked, hoped, and saved. If you ever come across a 1936 wheat penny without a mint mark, stop everything. Check the luster under warm light. Look for sharp edges around liberty, and in God we trust. If the surfaces gleam naturally and the date remains clear, you might just be holding the next great find. Never underestimate a coin from 1936, because in fine condition, this little survivor can change your collection and maybe even your life. The 1936 wheat penny isn't just a collectible, it's a time capsule, a message from an America that refused to give up. It stands as proof that value isn't always minted in gold or silver. Sometimes it's hidden in copper, disguised as ordinary, waiting patiently for someone with eyes to see its worth. So the next time you sort through your change, remember, one penny from the past could be your key to fortune. Because the 1936 wheat penny isn't just history. It's legacy, sealed in metal, and still whispering its truth through time. Coin number 24. Before the world went to war, before steel replaced copper, before time swallowed an entire generation's dreams, there was this. A single coin, a silent witness to history about to ignite. This is the 1940 wheat penny, struck in the city of Philadelphia, with no mint mark to its name, yet with a value so powerful, so mesmerizing, it has become one of the most hunted treasures of the pre-war era. The year was 1940. The United States was on the verge of transformation. War was brewing overseas, but on American soil, the mint worked with unmatched precision. Philadelphia struck millions of wheat pennies that year, but only a few emerged with that perfect combination of fine condition, flawless copper tone, and unblemished surfaces that defied the years. Those few survivors, the immortals of 1940, became the cornerstone of what collectors now call the last piece pennies. They were minted just before copper was redirected for the war effort, just before America's coins changed forever. Hold a 1940 wheat penny without a mint mark in your hand, and you're not just holding metal, you're touching history. Its copper composition glows warmly, each wheat stalk detailed and alive, framing the words 1 cent with quiet pride. The lettering is bold, the face of Lincoln calm, yet resolute, as if the coin itself knew it was about to become part of something much larger. Even in fine condition, the 1940 penny carries a depth and richness that numismatics describe as pre-war perfection. It's the coin that saw America's final calm before the storm. In 2022, a coin enthusiast in Ohio stumbled upon a small jar in his late grandfather's workshop filled with ordinary pennies. Or so he thought. Among the dull tones of modern cents, one piece stood out, brighter, sharper, heavier with presence. Under a magnifying glass, the date came alive, 1940. No mint mark. Fine condition. He sent it for professional grading, and the experts were stunned. The coin's surface was immaculate. No corrosion, no scratches, no signs of mishandling. Just pure, untouched copper perfection. When it finally went under the hammer, the auction room fell silent until the final call broke it. $214,500? Yes, one single penny. A fortune carved from a fragment of pre-war history. And that number? It is still climbing today. This 1940 wheat penny without a mint mark isn't rare because of a printing error or a misstrike. It's rare because of its survival. Imagine millions were struck, yet only a handful escaped wear, corrosion, and time itself. That's why collectors say owning one is like owning a photograph of 1940 that never fades. It's not just a coin. It's a moment in metal, and that moment is worth more than gold. The market value of this masterpiece stands today at $214,500, and experts say it's only a matter of time before it breaches $250,000. That's not fiction, that's truth backed by demand, rarity, and history itself. Every year, fewer surface. Every year the price rises. And someday it could become one of the crown jewels of American numismatics. If you ever come across a 1940 wheat penny with no mint mark, don't overlook it. Check the rim, the tone, the evenness of the copper glow. If it's smooth yet sharp-edged, with all letters clearly defined, congratulations. You may be holding a silent giant. Because the 1940 penny hides its value not in its shine, but in its story. Every fine-conditioned specimen is a whisper from the past, a coin that outlived a world about to change forever. The 1940 wheat penny stands as one of America's most poetic treasures, simple, unmarked, yet worth more than many could dream. It's not just a collectible, it's a survivor, a messenger from the edge of history that says, even the smallest things can outlast the greatest storms. So next time you look through your coins, pause for a second. Look closer, because that quiet penny in your palm could be holding the weight of time and a fortune waiting to be discovered. Coin number 25. And here it is, the final treasure in our journey. A coin that has quietly survived decades, carrying secrets from a world recovering from war. The 1946 wheat penny, black-spotted, fine condition, and worth far more than its humble denomination suggests. This is history you can hold in the palm of your hand. The year was 1946. The world had just emerged from the devastation of World War II. America was rebuilding, hope was in the air, and families returned home with dreams of peace and prosperity. In Philadelphia, the mint pressed millions of new pennies, yet among them, a few carried a mysterious mark, black spots that gave them an aura unlike any ordinary coin. These weren't flaws. They were signatures of survival, copper that had endured exposure, time, and human history to become living relics. Collectors call them the Watchers of 1946, coins that seem to have observed history itself unfold. Take a closer look at this 1946 wheat penny without a mint mark. The black spots are not imperfections, they are badges of resilience, proof that this tiny piece of copper lived through a turbulent era. The wheat stalks are crisp, the letters sharp, the surface still alive with the warmth of old metal. Every coin tells its own story of soldiers returning home, of children saving pennies in jars, of a nation finding its footing after unimaginable loss. Recently, a collector in New England purchased a small coin lot from a family estate. Among ordinary pennies, his eyes caught one with a strange dark pattern. Under magnification, it revealed itself, 1946, no mint mark, black spotted as fine condition. Experts examined it and confirmed its rarity. While many pennies from 1946 were common, this particular specimen, with its black spots and preserved fine condition, was extraordinary. When it went to auction, anticipation filled the room. The bidders knew they weren't just bidding for copper, they were bidding for history itself. $188,500. 1 cent, nearly $200,000. A treasure, a story, a legend, all rolled into a single coin. The black-spotted 1946 wheat penny is coveted because it represents authentic survival. Unlike mass-produced coins that faded into obscurity, these pennies carry unique markings that make them distinct to collectors worldwide. They are rare survivors, pieces of post-war America preserved in copper. Each one is different, each one a testament to history, endurance, and legacy. If you ever encounter a 1946 wheat penny without a mint mark, inspect it carefully. Look for unique black spotting, sharp edges, and clear lettering. This coin could be the very piece that completes a legendary collection. Because coins like this aren't just rare, they are stories frozen in metal, waiting for someone to uncover their full worth. The 1946 wheat penny closes our journey through the most extraordinary, rare, and valuable wheat pennies in the world. From 1910 to 1958, each coin we've explored carried more than copper. They carried time, history, and the dreams of the people who minted, saved, and preserved them. And the 1946 black-spotted penny? It's the perfect reminder that even the smallest object can hold the weight of history and fortune. So, the next time you glance at a penny, remember, one might be worth a fortune, hidden, waiting for you to discover it.